If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day. Or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help.
The FHN network is sponsored in part by Hoddle Services. If you're looking for a disc jockey, karaoke host, video jockey to videographer, our company can help. With over 20 years of experience, we would be happy to help with your special event within Ontario, Canada. You can contact us at 226-988-2895 or visit us at our website at hoddleservices.vpweb.ca. That's HODDLE Services. We look forward to hearing from you and helping with your special event.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? And thanks for tuning in for episode 13 of Off the Puck Hockey on the FHN Network and ASTV out west. I'm your host, Tyler Fines. You can catch Off the Puck Hockey on Rogers TV, Channel 20, every Saturday night at 9 p.m. You can also view our live recordings every Monday night at 9 p.m. Just follow us Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Follow at Off the Puck Hockey, dates and times to check us out. Let's welcome the fellas behind the mics, Mr. Adam Stiles and, of course, Mr. Mikey Walker. What's going on, fellas?
What's going on?
Fine, not much. Listen, I know Adam's trying to get our guest in here. We got our new street. We're trying to get them all loaded up, so we're going to let Adam take care of that for a little bit while Mikey and I start off the show here. But, yeah, it's been just want to remember that we got our new segment again at 9:30 p.m. True junior hockey and college stories from one of us tonight. Tonight, I'm going to tell a true story, and I'm going to label it the Ball Hockey Cop Story. And this week is brought to you by Van Leeuwen and Associates. Lots going on in the NHL tonight. Cole Caulfield makes his NHL debut and did not get the 20 goals that the Montreal Canadiens were expecting, but at least they won 2-1. And obviously we have the Vancouver Canucks and Ottawa Senators going at it right now. St. Louis is laying down the smack on Colorado Avalanche. Dallas and Hurricanes going at it, and lots of teams battling for playoff spots. So going to be a pretty crazy ride here for the last few games here. Walks, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's you got some of the top teams that are starting to have a little bit of injury bugs, which kind of expected, getting players some rest. But I mean, yeah, it's crunch time, and we're 10 games or less away.
Yeah, it's going to be a great first round. I mean, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for some new teams that are getting in the playoffs this year. I'm really hoping for the prospect of a Toronto-Montreal round eventually. Yeah. I mean, that'd be crazy. I can't remember if they said the last time that it actually went years ago, obviously, like 70s or something like that.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you when that was. I thought maybe they met in like the early 2000s, but that I couldn't confirm that either.
Well, the prospect is looking pretty good right now. I mean, Toronto's obviously going to be taking that division handedly, and I don't know if Montreal and Edmonton are going to swap, with Edmonton having 56 points and 2 games in hand, and Montreal having 51. So it might be Toronto-Montreal first round, which I'm not going to hate. And obviously, the one thing I know you're going to love is the Mass Mutual East division. Pittsburgh and Washington taking the top at 67 and 66 points. I didn't think your Penguins were that good this year.
Quiet. That's all it is. Findsy, they're always in the mix, but I forget what it was. They had 26 wins through 41 games, and I told Adam this one. The last time they did that, they won the cup in 2016 and 2009. So, I mean, hopefully it's a sign of things to come.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, it's going to be a really exciting time for, I'd like to see Crosby get back in. You got Ovi coming in. New York Islanders kind of had a little bit of a slower start, a slower half back end, I should say. They've been amazing at home, though. 19-3-3 is insane.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a crazy good record. I mean, even Pittsburgh, 23-2, but just the Islanders, they're struggling a little bit away, 10-11-2, or else they'd be sitting near the top of the heap. And obviously Boston and New York battling it out there. It looks like that stage is set, though, with New York, playing 49 games and Boston playing 47. Carolina, Florida, Tampa, and Nashville in the Central. Dallas and Nashville are neck and neck, and Dallas has 2 games in hand. Who do you think comes out of there? Do you think Dallas is going to keep it, or do you think Nashville is going to hold on?
I would like to see Nashville get in. I mean, their playoff atmosphere, provided they're allowed fans in, it's insane. And I personally think that Dallas alternating out with Nashville every couple of years, it's good for the hockey communities down in the southern states.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, those are the markets that we want to see succeed, and I do still want to see. Like I said, I would like to have Nashville in other than Dallas, just my personal opinion. But again, with Dallas went 2-6, or 7-1-2 in their last 10. And Nashville didn't help them out by going 6-3-1, so they've got a long way to go. And then 3 guaranteed teams already in the West with Vegas, Colorado, and Minnesota locking up spots in their division because Arizona's got a measly 47 points. So I don't understand why everyone was saying that the Canadian division was so bad when, Arizona's got 47 points.
Yeah, and right out of the gate, I thought, maybe it's just listening to Chicklets and hearing Biz talk. I thought Arizona's going to be a contender this year. I mean, they've got the goaltending, they've got the offensive power, young guys, and anybody coming up now can rip the puck. So I thought they were going to be more than what they are.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And St. Louis is on a bit of a buzz right now, even though they're 4-6. But Arizona is 3-7, so they're not doing themselves any favors. But St. Louis has got 3 games in hand, so I'm pretty sure that St. Louis is going to jump Arizona at the same time. So it's going to be a really exciting finish, and I can't wait to really get down to the nitty gritty of the playoffs when this thing gets rolling. First, before we get rolling, big shouts to Brooke Henderson. Big dub for Canada on the weekend. Really excited for her to win that golf championship. That's really exciting stuff. You love to see it. So congrats to Brooke Henderson. Just wanted to quickly touch on the Hart Trophy race because I had mentioned it about 2 weeks ago that I thought it was Connor McDavid's show no matter what. And I'm pretty sure it's apparent that he is the league MVP no matter what, rocking 77 points. And I wanted your opinion, 1 out of 10. Does Connor McDavid get to 100 points before the season is over?
I don't know now. Like, I would probably put it at about a 4 just based on how many games they have left. But he'll make an argument for 90, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. 13 points in the last few games here. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. I think for sure there's a better opportunity for him to get 90 points and 100. But I mean, 100 points in a shortened season at 56 is just incredible. Like, this guy is going to break so many scoring records, I think, at the end of the day, and he just keeps getting better and better and better. And I could just imagine what it would be like to play with like consistent line mates.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, he's one of those guys where he's like Crosby was when he first came in. It's how do I be the best, and once I am the best, how do I stay there? And both those guys have that mentality. I mean, Ovechkin's, I think, there too now, especially winning that cup there.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And what's crazy is, another one we got to mention, obviously, is Sidney Crosby. Your boy, point a game, up there with Gordie Howe and Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, it was
16-year record for 16 years.
16 years with a point a game, which I think Gretzky and him are the only two now.
It's just the two of them.
Yeah, I believe so.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah,
That's
and it's
absolutely
crazy
insane
to think with the
witness someone
injuries.
like that.
Yeah, it's crazy to think with the injuries, the concussions, and everybody thought he was just done at one point. It's good to hear that that's the case for him now, though. Point a game, 16 years, like it's a pretty successful franchise and career.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we're really excited that worked out, and looks like we finally worked out our technical issues. And I'm going to blame this on our boy Adam Styles for arranging this entire thing. So you don't keep a legend hanging like that. We make sure the technical stuff is dealt with on this high quality show that we're delivering here to the people. All right, we don't leave Mr. Hendrick hanging like that. Anyways, folks, without further ado, the reason we all showed up tonight, then I don't want to waste anybody else's time. Mr. Paul Hendrick, how are you, sir?
Thank you, guys. Sorry about the technical interruption here. It's it's I found out, with podcasts and whatnot, there's 1,000 ways to go left, but we got to solve. So it's great.
Not a problem. And like I said, we're really excited to have you on. I know Adam is. Adam, if you can tell, Adam's not a Leaf fan, right? Not a Leaf fan.
Not at all.
No, doesn't enjoy it. Doesn't enjoy the Leafs. So, either way, thanks again for joining us. And before we let the boys take over, have you been doing any podcasts or any type of media for consistently?
Well, I started a podcast, thanks for asking, last October, and we started with Luke Shen 10 days after he'd won Stanley Cup, and went over to John Michael Lyles and Rick Vive and Brian Burke and Ken Dryden, Tyler Bozak. I can go on. And today we just did Brad May. So it's either coming out in 2 days or it's coming out next week. It's just great to talk with these people for 40 to 45 minutes and in a relaxed form, much like we have here. And, for most of these people, it's after their careers have finished. So it's an opportunity for them to let their guard down and tell a few stories. So it's up to me to make sure the research is done properly. And when I thought I've covered everything, you find out things that you didn't know, just certain stories, and that's what has made this so much fun. So, it's keeping me busy, and I've not missed a second of Toronto Maple Leaf hockey. It's a really good hockey club and an entertaining year. They've got a chance to really do some business, and it's been a while since we've been able to say that. So that's been exciting, even though I'm not in the front lines. I haven't missed a beat, really.
That's fantastic. And I'm really excited for the Toronto Maple Leaf team this year. We all know Adam's excited. Walker, not so much, but his Pittsburgh Penguins are first in his division as well. So he's going to take that to the bank. Oh, great hockey team. So it's going to be some exciting playoffs. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Leafs do here. But without further ado, Adam's probably got 20,000 things he wants to ask you. So I'm just going to sit back, close my eyes, and let him take the lead for a bit.
Yes, Paul. Thanks so much for coming. Legend in my eyes. Growing up,
watching, you can tell.
I've heard you since probably 10 years old. It's just crazy to hear your voice. It really is. Forgive me if I stutter or stumble a little bit here. It's pretty crazy, but I just wanted to get started. How did you get started in your careers? Like, at what age did you decide you wanted to go into kind of media or broadcasting? And then where was your first job?
I'll tell you, Adam, I talked to people who I went to high school with, and they said it was then, but I don't recall. But I was sports editor of our yearbook at Lauren Park Secondary in Mississauga. I thought I was going to go to law school, but my marks at U of T were not good enough. But they were good enough to get me into Ryerson after I got my degree in political science. But in the interview process, the counselor said, "Why do you want to come back to school for another 4 years? Get some experience somewhere, somehow, and then just get going," because I already had a degree, and they didn't think it was worth my time to spend 4 more years getting a degree, even with the practical training that Ryerson provided. So I went to a course called Career Canada, just across from St. Mike's Hospital. It was 6 months, but I got out of there in 6 weeks. A colleague of mine in that program, great voice, got a job in the Sioux. He said, "Send a tape up here," and because they're thinking getting rid of one of their sports announcers. Anyway, I sent the tape up. I got an interview. I flew up, got the job, flew back, got my corduroy jacket. I imparted 2 suits and then flew right back up. And that was in 1979. Had to spend a year in news before I got the opportunity to go over to sports and cover the Greyhounds. And I was there for another 15 months before I got a job in Hamilton. So that was almost 42 years ago. And boy, I couldn't have taken a better job. The opportunities, the fun, the people I've gotten to meet, and not just famous, everybody. It's a people business. It's changed so much now, but it's going to provide opportunities as well. As limited as it seems right now for a lot of people, I know there were more opportunities to go north, get experience up there. Now all those stations in the north are shut down. They're the repeater stations out of bigger markets like Sudbury or Toronto, really. And you don't get the opportunity to head into the boondocks and really experience life and cover everything from City Hall to Public Utilities Commission to school board, anchor weekend news, have to work Christmas night 2 years in a row, and all those sort of things before you get a chance to move into the sports department, cover the Greyhounds, work with Terry Crisp, Ron Francis. I can go on, and then get a chance to come to work in Hamilton at CHCH before getting my break with the Maple Leafs and Molson Sports and Entertainment in mid-90s anyway. And it's gone by just like that, but it's been a blessing. I've had the opportunity to do so much, travel and see so much, and more importantly, meet so many great people and get to cover the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's a team I grew up following in Orlando, Quebec. Got to meet Dave Keon when I was 10 years old, literally a week and a half after he won the Conn Smythe Trophy. And
that's awesome.
It planted the seed, right? So that's an elongated answer, but
here
we are, 64 years of age, and the passion still burns as bright as it did when my career started.
I hope I look like you do when I'm 64.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, eh?
Yeah, you're kind.
Hey, Findsy, so remember I was telling you I had a quick story that I wanted to say before I came on. And Paul, you know so many people in Leafs Nation, and so I had the coolest thing. I came home from work today and had this package, and I didn't really recognize the name or anything. It happened to book, and I just wait to open the waist going, what are you waiting for? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So I opened it up, and it happens to be a book from called Voices in Blue and White by a man named Kevin Shea. And he actually personally signed it to me and just said to Adam, enjoy the stories and the pride and passion over our inner Leafs, and extended success with your podcast. Best wishes, Kevin Shea. And I just found that it was really cool to me to really get that in the mail. You don't really get stuff in the mail, and like I have no idea how this man found my address or whatever, but I really thank him very much. It means a lot, and I just would. Do you know any idea who that man is, Paul?
Yeah, I do. Kevin works for the Hall of Fame. He's a hockey historian, and in particular, the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's written many books. One of them, Over the Boards, the Ron Ellis story. He's just a good, thorough guy. And if you want to know anything about Toronto Maple Leaf history, Kevin's the guy you talk to. Kevin was on our, Leafs TV or Leafs Nation Network, as it turned out. We did hockey classics, and Kevin was one of our skilled guests as we look back into famous historic games. And it's like Kevin's there. We're about the same age, and it's his passion. He's an incredible writer, and what a nice tribute to you and compliment for him to send you that autograph copy. Kevin's just pass all the way. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it meant so much to me. It made me shed a tear, and I thank him very much.
Oh boy, this guy's getting sentimental on the show.
Yeah,
I love it.
Means a lot, man. It means a lot.
It does mean a lot, man. It's not, like I said, it was the same thing when my uncle passed away about a month ago, and oh my God. Thank you. Brandon Press sent that to my uncle, right, and was able to
that
pass away. That would, like that, you just can't put a price on that.
No, exactly. There's another good guy, Brandon Press. Not many bad people in the sport of hockey, really.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, just want to kind of touch in. You started in with the Maple Leafs there in the early '90s. Was there much nerves as you kind of were breaking news back then, or also was there anybody that kind of starstruck you when you're like, oh my God, this guy's in the room?
Good questions. And damn right there were nerves. I remember, I did a couple of years with Gord Stellick where we co-hosted Leaf Hockey on CHCH, and you're on a big stage. It's Maple Leaf Gardens. It's Mark Askin producing from the truck with Jim Marshall directing. I mean, this is big time. But you've just got to take a deep breath and just say, I know this isn't the OUA game of the week. I know it's not high school sports that we do on a regular basis in Hamilton. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs, but you just got to rely on your experience and consistency and talent and get the job done. But there were a bunch of nerves. And I know when I moved to the Leafs full time in the fall of 1998, I remember saying to my wife, Alicia, if I've still got this job in December, I'm gonna be very fortunate. You can't say no to the challenge, but there's a inner voice inside saying, "Oh my God, you just left a nice, comfortable position at Channel 11. Now you're really stepping up." But that's why you get into the business. And you look back on it now; it's a quarter century ago. From my beginnings with the Leafs at Channel 11 to where we are now, it went by that quickly. There were times you have to work sick. You're on the road. I know in the 25 years that I covered the hockey club, I was 8.5 years away from wife and family, just nights spent in hotels on the continent. Those are sacrifices.
Yeah.
Birthday parties. My daughter's a late January. I can maybe count 3 birthdays that I was there on that particular day, but it's not a big deal. You celebrate later, and they're all necessary sacrifices to get a chance to do what you do. And this is to cover the Toronto Maple Leafs. The people I've met, it's just incredible over the years. Brad may come on today. We were in British Columbia not so long ago while the Leafs were there, and last week, and to visit and with my daughter, and in the hotel, checking in, I turn around and there's a swarm of people coming over, and it's the Maple Leafs coming over to say hello. And I hadn't seen those guys in about 8 months. It was just a true honor. Mitch and Austin and Morgan and Rasmus and Alex Kerfoot and Joe Thornton was there. It was just really nice for those guys to come over to say, hey, great to see you, and all of that. And I told them how much I miss them. Really do. But that's those are the benefits and the perks of the business. When you look back a quarter century ago, and Mike, to answer your question, were you nervous? And yeah, really nervous. And right through the career, we come on air, I'm live on the ice. I've got a team circling in behind me as we do our 3.5 minute live open. We rehearsed it, but you got to nail it. And there's a lot of things being put into my ear. And even with all the experience I had in that veteran truck, you've got your heart up here. The guys who do it make it look so easy, but it's not easy at all. And I'll remember back to those days, boy, oh boy, I'm going over my open in my head, trying to synchronize this with this. And some days when you're not feeling great, days where you're tired, it's not easy to do, but you try to do it as well as you can on a consistent basis as you can. And then all of a sudden you look up and you look around and you're hitting a send button on Twitter saying you're about to retire, and you go, wow, how quickly that went. Here we are talking with you guys off the puck, and it never ends. But it goes back to the mid '90s, and yeah, it was a scary time as I took a big step in my career back then.
Well, I'll tell you something. I can't even do this podcast with my wife talking to me. So I could just imagine what it was like trying to speak to everybody else, and having a producer in your ear and not repeating exactly what he's saying.
Yeah. And the best thing about it, Tyler, is you want that producer in your ear. There was a time about 8 years ago, we were in San Jose. Literally 2 minutes before we go to air, we lost audio between me at ice level, which was literally outside the Leaf room. It's where I did the open in the hallway to the truck. But Mark Askin, who I trust implicitly, and he and I, we had a synergy amongst us. We had done so many of these opens together over 17 years. I just relied on the floor director. I knew the order of things that we had to bring in, and the floor director there literally counting me down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and boom, into the next one. And I'm not hearing what the truck is doing, but I'm looking up at the monitor, and they're rolling the video, and we got through it. Nobody at home knew it. But it was just a testament to the trust between a producer, a director, our tape operators, and my floor director, myself, and camera person, down there with the Leafs streaming right by us to get onto the ice, to get it done and to get it done flawlessly. It's something I'm very proud about. But boy, oh boy, those are nervous times when you're getting ready to get the game started. We're on the ice, and I remember that stage in Calgary. I got a whack across the back of the shins, right live. And anyway, afterwards, I said, "Who wasn't?" The person just said, "I was number 14." It was stage. And,
well, at least you didn't get hit in the head with a baseball, right?
Yeah, I was the night before. The night before the Leafs drafted Austin. Mm-hmm. And Nicole Burns, our producer, she said, "Let's start this from the top." I said, "No, let's keep going. We're going to keep this. I'm not getting hit in the head of a ball in Buffalo for nothing." Oh my God! Have you guys seen the video? Have you guys seen, Maddie? Have you seen that, Adam?
I've seen that. Yes.
Walks. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my God! I'm gonna have to share. You know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna share it later, just for fun. Yeah. Just when the thing gets going. That's all. Anything can happen. You got to be prepared.
Yeah, and made Fox Sports' highlight reel of top 10, whatever it was that happened that week, and made it that night. So Bob McGill and I were at TJIF's in suburban Buffalo having some margaritas because Bobby got in a fight in Chicago one year, and he had big spots on his eyes, and he had a couple of margaritas, and the spots went away. So that was my prescription, Dr. McGill, and some margaritas at TJIF's in Buffalo.
That's awesome. Well, Paul, it's 9:30, so we normally do a quick segment here. We got a new segment on the show, which the guys call True College or Junior Hockey Stories.
Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so good. I've been inclined.
Oh, good job, Maddie. That's good job, dude. That's what happens when you have a good producer. Not bad. All right, so quick. All right, so I got the wheel tonight. So quick one. Got to do it under 2 minutes. So, true story, and it is a hockey-related story, somewhat. So, living in an apartment building in Kitchener, Waterloo, behind the Fairway Mall, where we have a gymnasium in the building. So we bring all the guys over one night. There's like 16 of us, and we're going to have a ball hockey 3-on-3 tournament. So behind Fairway Mall is kind of sketchy. So we're just going to, because that will come into play here in the next 2 minutes. So we go downstairs and we're playing where you start the tournament, and we actually say the anthem before every game. So we had it out. We had the anthem going, and when they weren't going, there was a public pool there. So the guys went into the pool, and we're having some beers. We've probably been there about 3 hours. So we come upstairs. It's about 6 o'clock. We got pizza. We're ordering food, and all of a sudden, we are about third floor. You hear, "Get on the beeping ground! Get on the beeping ground!" And you got cops with guns outside of our building, arresting a guy. But it's clear as day. And there's about 16 of us upstairs with hockey sticks, all in our gear. And boys, I swear on my life, I got 16 guys to back it up. I grabbed my big booming speakers while this guy is getting arrested. And this is all he heard while getting arrested. So, as this guy's getting arrested and getting thrown in the back of the car, the cops are dying laughing. There's 16 hockey players, all with jerseys on, in the window, going like this and cheering while this guy's getting arrested. Guns drawn out front of our apartment building. True college story. And slash hockey story, and it is completely 100% true. So, and thanks again to Van Leeuwen Advisors for sponsoring our True College and hockey stories. So, anyways, that was a quick, like I said, quick 2 minutes, but everyone loves that. Yeah. Oh, it was I'll never forget that as long as I live. Paul, have you ever had to have an encounter with the police, or had to, when you're like, I don't know, maybe out after a game, or had to calm somebody down, or at least tell them to go away?
We had a similar story. 1978, and my uncle Brian, he'd rented a 83-foot boat. We were going to sail from Fort Lauderdale to Key West and back up, and we stopped one night. My sister was on, a couple of buddies as well, and there was a big rump. We're in Miami Marina. It's called Miami Marina, and I came out, and there were 4 officers with pistols drawn, and at us, and they were there. This is inner city Miami, and they were there to bust some boat with a lot of drugs. It wasn't our boat, and but you come out and it's like 4 a.m. and you've got guns drawn at. Like, not many of us have had that, and so that's the only thing similar I can get. And I just go, "Hey, we're from Canada. Sorry, wrong boat," and they go down probably 5 or 6 boats and do what they had to do. But that was kind of scary.
Yeah, well, it's nuts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, you mentioned your wife, Alicia. How's she doing, Paul?
Thanks for asking. She's doing great. Yeah, doing great. And we're just doing what we've wanted to do. When the decision to retire happened, it was, COVID, we weren't really sure what direction it was going on. I probably could have stuck around and did what I've done, because there's no traveling. Nobody travels.
Right.
And everything's done, via this, and everybody, watching games on television. So, I easily could have done that. It's been good. We've endured COVID, and to answer your question, Adam, she's doing great, and I'm very grateful for that. And,
awesome.
And as I said, 8.5 years on the road. It's a transition for both of us when we've got to live with each other full time, even though we've been married for 34 years. It's been a transition, but it's been a good transition. And we've just spent some quality time with our daughter, and, just blessed for everything we've had, and especially the last 14 months. So different from anything I expected when I began my career. And to be able to spend it with Alicia and as much time as we've had, it's been very, very good. But fine, thank you.
Awesome. Yes, no problem. It's good to hear, man. Yeah, it's nice to be able to make up all that. Like you said earlier, last time that you kind of missed out on things, and now you get all the time in the world to spend.
Yeah, but you know what, Adam? You still got to do, careers like both my kids, Michael and Caroline, and we've all done what we want to do, and you got to pursue your career. It's not going to be perfect, but there's going to be sacrifices made, right? And they made sacrifices to accommodate me, and vice versa. But I got to cover the Toronto Maple Leafs close and personal for 25 years. I'll take that anytime.
Oh, absolutely. I always like to ask. I always like ask media guys. The screw ups happen all the time. Is there any ones that stick out in your mind, or the big ones that you did well in media that you want to share with us?
Yeah. This is off the top of my head. We're not rehearsing this. I remember doing news in Sault Ste. Marie and talking about minute organisms from outer space or whatever, but I said minute orgasms. You guys, it's hard to take that back. I remember, hockey wise, Brian McCabe comes around the corner, and we're in Tampa, and it was our 3rd game in 4 nights, and you get physically, mentally beat up. And Joe Bowen sent it down to me. It was he and Harry Neal up top, and let's go down to Paul Hendrick and his guest. And I said, yes, thanks. Joe with me. Have you ever been in a situation where somebody and you've got to introduce them to somebody and you've just drawn a blank? Maybe you guys are too young, but it's going to happen. But that particular night, I literally, with me, I turned back Brian McCabe, and he started, I just blanked out. It's live television. It was our third different network in 4 nights. We've been on CHCH. We've been on Global, I think, and maybe TSN back then. And, so, I mean, these things happen, right? There's a bunch more. I mean, I'm going to start thinking of them, but 41 years, there's a lot more, but they sort of stand out, and you just got to go with the flow, and you're only human. You try to minimize them as much as possible because there's some tough situations. I forget whose question, it might have been Mike Walker's about in terms of intimidation. Pat Burns intimidated me beyond belief when I started, really? But beyond that, it's not his fault. That was me, because Pat's Pat was one of the greatest guys, hands down. But it was my first year covering the hockey club, right, and traveling with them. So Burnsy, he was a guy who scared me. As you get a little older, a little more experienced, you're able to handle this stuff. I was still in my mid-30s back then, old enough, but it's still the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's still Pat Burns, and you're hoping you're not going to get your head chewed off by asking a question that didn't quite come out the way you thought it should have. But he was fantastic, but he did intimidate me, at least early on.
Paul, what's your relationship like with Joe? I had a really fortunate opportunity with him. I got to sit up in the booth with him and Jimmy for one game and watch him call a game against Boston. This probably was 3-4 years ago now, and it was a night I'll never forget. It was so awesome. Those guys are just it's salt of the earth guys, and it was such a night. I'll never forget. And what's your relationship like with Joe?
He's one of my best friends. We travel with people like Joe, Jim Ralph, a longtime camera person and producer for us, Rob Burling, and then Nicole Burns and Rebecca Waters. Those three in succession. You get to know each other. A lot of trips spent driving from Tampa to Lauderdale to Tampa after a game. This is when we were no longer on the charter. Airplane rides, game day practices. You know each other's families, you know each other's kids. You really get to know each other, and they become a part of your extended family. And having worked with those people for such a long time, especially Joe and Jim as long as I did, you become very close. We don't always talk, but we text often enough. And if there's something we need, like I met up with Joe and his son Sean last late August up in Collingwood. We had breakfast together, and I hadn't seen these guys in a long time, and it was like a family reunion. And we don't talk hockey. We talk a little hockey, but it's how's Charlie doing? How's Mike doing? How's Liam doing? Sean, what's up with you? And Derek and all that stuff. So it's the friendships. And hey, as I smooth all the time, did we ever get upset with each other during that time? When you're traveling with each other, when you're getting up at 4:30 to catch 6 a.m. flights and things like that, you get tired, you get cranky. It's not always smooth, but it's like a family. And it's a relationship like none other. And I feel privileged to say that I can mention people like Nicole, Joe, Jim, Rob, Rebecca, and say that they mean a lot to me. Mark Askin as well, and the gang in the truck. That another thing is to see Joe and Jim call a game. That's radio as well. But in terms of the television aspect and watching a game called by the truck, and how the Shirley Najaks and the Mark Askins of this world are able to call a game from their perspective inside the truck and direct things. It's a real skill set, and that's another experience at some point in time. If you could ever get to do it, I'd recommend it, because it's an absolutely wonderful perspective to watch a game. You'll never look at a game the same once you've been inside a truck. And Adam, you've had a chance to see Joe and Jim do their thing, capture the magic of a game. Joe's ability to call it off the fly, and to do
Yeah.
it almost effortlessly. It's an incredible talent. He's the voice of the hockey club.
I was.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I even got a holy Mackinac out of him that made my night right there.
Yeah, that's funny. That's great. And the other
Oh,
thing too about this,
who are some of your favorite Leafs and why?
say it again.
Who are some of your favorite?
I think he said favorite
Favorite-
Leafs. He's got that porked over
favorite
internet
Leafs, sorry.
one, Paul. Yeah.
That's okay.
There it is.
They're all so great. Alan McCauley, Luke Shen, Tom Fitzgerald, Travis Dermott, trying to bring it up. Mitch Marner's classy. I love Austin Matthews as well. Zach Hyman. These are current guys. Going back even further, the opportunity to be around Matt Sundin for most of his 13 years with the Toronto Maple Leaf Hockey Club. I know I'm going to miss some people, but these are all names that stand out just because of how giving they were. Brad Boyd, another one. Just what good people they are. Articulate when they provide you an answer. Never the clichéic answer, but just good character people with big hearts and souls, and able to make us and myself feel a welcome part of that dressing room, a welcome part of the team coverage, and be so nice about it. That to me is what stands out. And, my podcast, first question, we've had Tyler Bozak come on, Luke's been on, Rick Vive's been on, Ken Dryden to talk about one of his books. These are all people I've had a relationship with over the course of my career, and you try to enhance and develop those relationships. And it all comes down to respect, right, guys? Respect for what we do. You don't have to be a punk about what we do, because it's the social media kind of thing for a lot of people who hide out anonymously. But it doesn't have to be that way. We don't have to micromanage every play. We can take a breath and look back at the entire season and know that the hockey club, if it's a decent hockey club, that there's a good chance, better than not, that they're going to do well when all is said and done. That certainly applies to the group and what they've been able to accomplish so far this year in a truly entertaining, enjoyable year. So I've mentioned some current day Leafs, and I mentioned some past Leafs. I've missed a few for sure. But Alan McCauley and company, those guys all stand out. Steve Thomas, I can go on and on.
Paul, you look at guys like Marc-Andre Fleury and how he has so much fun with the media at a game. You mentioned Stajan gave you a pretty good whack in the back of the leg there. Is there anybody who comes to mind, or a couple guys that were pranksters with the media or had as much fun with them the way Fleury does?
Alex McGillney is brilliant. By the way, you come from Russia to North America, master the language, master sarcasm, master all of that, and be as good a hockey player. He used to prank media all the time, come up with outrageous statements, and see some of the, we're not going to mention newspaper guys taking this stuff down verbatim, and he'd look up over at the corner of his eye and just sort of be a total. He loved having fun with the gang. I remember Max Domi had a birthday party at Air Canada Centre. My son played on his hockey team in Port Credit, and there were about 30 kids. They skated, they had a pizza party, and then Leanne, Ty's former wife, brought the kids into the room, and Alex McGill was getting treatment for I think a broken tailbone. It was just an awful hit. And he said, I remember him saying, "Hey kids, the advice I have for you, don't ever play hockey." These are all these 6-year-olds coming through, right? He's got a towel on him and he's looking up like this, and the Leaf physical therapists are going through, but he just a great sense of humor. Ron Wilson had a sense of humor as well. I know he wasn't beloved by a lot of the media. He didn't like a lot of the media, but he had a dry sense of humor. A game in Ottawa where he sends a monster, Jonas Gustafsson comes off first, James Reimer comes off last, and normally that means Gustafsson starting that night. Now, we knew for a fact Ron was starting, but Ron, anything he can do just to screw up with the media and just get them a jab. He was always one to do it, even if it's on a game day like this. So there's a lot more than that, obviously. Wade Belak was absolutely hilarious. Like, I mean, he was one of the funniest guys. I didn't realize there was a lot in terms of depression, and we didn't see any of that. I flew with the team when he was the Leaf. Chad Kilgore, would always come back, sit down in the back of the airplane where we had a few empty seats, and we'd always chat about a lot of things that didn't include hockey. For Chad, growing up in Cornwall, for Wade, growing up out in Western Canada, and family and things like that. So he was a funny guy. Stuff I can't get into with some of the stuff he said, but he was absolutely hilarious, and I miss him tremendously.
Paul, how important was it for you to be liked? Mm-hmm. And we'll start with that one. I want to start with that. How important was it for you to be liked?
I think respected is a better way of putting it. Liked, I don't care if I'm liked or not, but at least respected. And knowing, for the majority of my career, I was a team broadcaster, and it's not easy being a team broadcaster when your team's in the midst of 7-8 consecutive years not making the postseason. Most nights are down. You've got to be good at telling stories and going beyond the surface of, another 4-2 loss or a 6-3 loss. And that part was really, really hard. But you've still got to be able to ask questions. And I've told this story a bunch of times in the last year. Luke, a guest of ours in the first intermission game against Florida, Toronto had lost 7 straight. And Luke comes off the ice. He's on the ice for the opening goal a minute in. He's on the ice for the second goal a minute out to go. Mark asked me, and you're thinking, he's probably going to blow you off. And I said, Luke won't blow me off. But knowing he's coming around the corner and he's come up to me live, I've still got to be able to ask him about those 2 goals, and he's -2. But how do you ask it in a respectful fashion that respects the player, yet you've got to ask him about the play. I mean, hockey fans want to know it. I'm not going to look very good. So, I guess it's just experience. And again, I've told this story a million times, but I'll say it again. And it's just like, Luke, what's done is done. How do you and your teammates rally over the course of the next 40 minutes to get a win here tonight in Toronto? So I took it off him somewhat, because hockey, guys, it's ultimately a team game. It's not Jake Gardner -5 in Game 7 in 2018, or Game 5, -5 in Boston. That just wasn't fair. He was on the ice for a lot of that, but Morgan Riley took a puck to the face. He wasn't playing. Let's be honest, Frederick Anderson didn't have a very good game, and a lot of that -5 that was on Jake is on Frederick as well. In that particular night. But Luke was he was down 2 right from the get-go. And Luke, to his credit, just said, hey, what happened out there is on me. I've got to go inside that dressing room, and I've got to apologize to each and every one of my teammates. It was refreshing. It was refreshing. Not only, he respected the fact that I was willing to help him share the burden, but I was very grateful for him to answer the way he did, and answering my question with respect and helping me out. So those are things you remember. And to get back, Tyler, to your question, it's not being liked, it's just being respected. I see these guys now at various functions, and, to be in the lobby of our hotel out in Vancouver and have about 12 guys come over to say hello, that meant an awful lot. Didn't mean I kissed asses, because that's not the way you go. But I think I was able to conduct my business with a respectful manner, ask questions that were politically correct, and allowed the player to respond with dignity. And I think that's all the player can ask. And I think as a broadcaster and a journalist, some might not see it that way, but I certainly see it that way. And it was a key to my longevity over 4 decades in the business. And I won't apologize for that ever.
Do you think NHL players should be a little bit more open in the media and have a little bit more truthful of an answers? I think that's always been the knock on NHL guys is, they've been taught a certain way. They've been brought up a certain culture. I know I instilled that in all my junior hockey players I coach. I'm sure Walker does it with his guys, and Styles is probably going to coach junior hockey one day eventually, and he's going to say the same thing. So, so I just, do you think they should open up a little bit more, maybe be a little bit more front like Robin Leonard the other day?
Yeah, no, that was refreshing. It's different now, right? With all social media and so many people with opinions, and most of these guys don't look at it, and nor should they look at it, because it gets ridiculous. And you lose a couple of games, and Leafs Nation is just cantankerous when things aren't going well, and on the other side, life's just absolutely great. I think the guys have got to be measured. You've got to be truthful. You can't lie, because somewhere, somehow, somebody's going to be able to research an answer and realize that, hey, that's not true. I think you've got to be truthful. And I think they're told that. They're also told to be very, very wary as to, where you're at. You're going out in a social situation. Everybody's got one of these, and pictures being taken and whatnot. And, and I don't care who you are and how much you're making. That's not easy. I think it's certainly a lot easier to play in Arizona, even Nashville, and some of these places where you're not like Phil Kessel. I remember running him onto Bay Street one year. But in the afternoon, I'm heading up near Union. Phil's got a hoodie right over his head. He's just trying to be incognito. I started laughing because I can, just by the way he was walking, I knew who it was, and by the way he was dressed. And he had a good laugh over it. But he's not able to walk from. He was living with Tyler Bozak back then, from where they lived down toward the Air Canada Center, where I think he was coming in for some treatment, without a hoodie on. It's tough. Peter Forsberg, we were doing some stand-ups outside Madison Square Garden. Peter Forsberg comes right by us. Nobody had a clue who he was. He had a bunch of Swedish kids they watched the Ranger practice and got to meet King Henry. I just joked on him. I said, "Isn't this incredible?" He goes, "I love it." And you can't do that. You can't do that in Toronto.
No.
But you know what? If this team ever wins a Stanley Cup, I guarantee you there's going to be 23 to 30 street names changed immediately to every member on that hockey club.
Absolutely.
Because it's going to be absolutely bananas.
Insane.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Actually, I'm hoping it's sooner than later.
Yes, it is going to happen. Paul, I've read, and I assume you're basically a walking Leafs encyclopedia when it comes down to it. Do you have any really crazy facts or records or stats that stand out in your head that you want to share with us?
Kevin Shea. It is a good one. Kevin Shea, by the way, he's right at the top of that list. So, the gentleman that sent you that book, you've got to get him on this show, because he's just an incredible wealth of knowledge. Mike Chairman as well, with a Leaf historical group. He's a wealth of knowledge. I'm trying to think. There's so much. You know what? The most recent one is just recent. Is Sheldon Keefe's success at the MTS Center in Winnipeg. 16-1-1 in games played in the building, 12-1-1 with the Marlies, and 4-0 as a head coach with the Leafs. And I brought it up to him a little over a year when the Leafs had won again in Winnipeg. And this was after the post-game scrum. And he was saying, I was just saying to Hacks, this is Dave Haxtell, one of the assistant coaches, I don't lose very often in this building. I'm not sure how often I'd lost. And I told him, you've only lost once. But those were those great early teams, right, that went to the conference final in 2016 and won the whole damn thing in 2018. They didn't lose many games, period. They never lost in Winnipeg. So that's kind of something neat. And I don't know whether Sheldon's just good fortune. He's a very good coach. Yeah. But it's one of those weird, quirky facts. I'm trying to think of some other stuff that would come up. And again, there's a million things. And if something pops up, it'd be like, me coming back to you, Mike, and saying, oh, yeah, Burnsy really intimidated me. Something's going to come back as I the cobwebs. But right off, just Sheldon Keefe.
That's a good one.
I think it's an interesting stat. Yeah, and hopefully it's going to continue in the postseason because
I
they're to get to the Final Four. It might go through Winnipeg.
Yeah, I actually almost had Coach Hackstall's daughter play for me this year.
Oh, yeah.
She ended up going to the state. Good thing she went to the States because she
Yeah,
wanted to play.
There has been no hockey.
Yeah, no
Shattuck,
hockey.
I think. Shattuck St. Mary's.
Yep. Oh yeah. Well, it was either between the Etobicoke Dolphins or Shattuck, and she went to Shattuck. And then I'm not gonna. And what a great place to go to school and play hockey. It's a hockey factory down there. Beautiful school, beautiful campus, great coaches.
She's like 14 years old, I think. I remember.
She's a real good hockey player. I got high hopes for her down the line.
Yeah. It's hey, I love women's hockey. My daughter played it for 12 years. A year with the Dolphins, but most of it with the Mississauga Chiefs. That's what they were known as back then. Yeah.
Oh,
and you call it women's hockey. I just call it hocky.
I know. 100%. Yeah, I don't know how mad you were, Paul, about the announcement of them not being able to play this weekend, but I can tell you from being involved and knowing all those women, Jocelyn The Rock, Laura Stacy, getting to coach all those Team Canada girls, Natalie Spooner. I'll tell you, I was really frustrated for them, and I think that's an absolute slap in the face. And I was waiting to bring it up, and I wanted to make sure that we said it tonight. And if we're gonna and people are gonna watch this on Rogers TV Channel 20, what they did was wrong, and I want everybody to know it.
Yeah, I agree. And these women have to get a tournament or two on their belt before the Olympics in Beijing. My guest next week on the first question is going to be a kayaker and her boyfriend, who are Madeline Schmidt is her name, from Ottawa. She's going to Tokyo. Her boyfriend Simon McTavish is still yet to nail his spot down. But they may end up going to the Olympics without any events. There's 2 World Cup events, one in Russia, one in Hungary coming up. But they may get canceled because of COVID. And to go into a competition of that nature, like the hockey players may have to, these women, it's not going to be easy. Oh my God, it's not going to be easy. So maybe somehow, if we've proven we can get all this curling done in Calgary and all these other various events, and it's not easy. You've got to have your labs on board. You've got to have your doctors on board, and all the athletes and support personnel have to buy in to make it happen in this day and age. I just hope we all get vaccinated, and by August, there's an opportunity somewhere to have those women that championship on, because boy, there's nothing better than Canada, USA, with everything on the line. And I think Canada's fallen behind the Americans. I asked Haley Wickenheiser a year and a half ago at Leaf Summer Camp, are we behind the Americans? And she paused. She had to pause and think about it, and she wasn't willing to accept it. That's Haley being competitive. Fact of the matter is, Americans have pushed it up another level, and there's only a goal separating the two sides most times, but they're usually getting that goal, whereas it used to be Canada. So I'd like to see our Canadian women back on top on a more consistent basis, but what a fight.
I agree. I hope so as well. We're getting close to the end here. Unfortunately, time is our enemy. Adam, you got one more you want to ask before we get out of here? I know you, like I said, I know you were fired up. Well, maybe Paul
where
could
would
take
where would you say Toronto's most hated? Where would you say Toronto's most hated around in the league?
Oh,
Vancouver.
Really?
You'll walk the street and they're pissing and moaning about a 4:00 start because Toronto's here. And I remember talking to these fans. I just said, "Hey, dudes, you get to go to a game. It's going to be over by 6:45, and you've got your whole evening ahead of you." By the way,
exactly,
almost 40% of the nation lives within a 3-hour drive of the arena Toronto plays in. It's advertising. They pay the bills. They're one of the oldest hockey teams ever. It's just the way it is. And don't be so damn insecure out the Maple Leafs. You know what? When the Leafs get a chance to win this championship, I think the Raptors blew a lot of things out of the water. I think the Leaf parade without COVID is going to up the ante on what the Raptors were able to do. And that's no disrespect to the Toronto Raptors. Yeah. You look at the Boston Red Sox, the Chicago Cubs, and they finally, and the Rangers for that, when they finally won their championships after so many years of not winning, it was explosive. Raptors haven't been around as long. When the Leafs get to do it, it's going to touch a lot of hearts. It's going to piss off a lot of people from Vancouver.
Good. And I can't wait for that to happen. And I can't wait. Absolutely. And I think it's going to be, I think this is the year. But I want to thank our guest, Paul Hendrick, for joining the fellas on this fine evening. I want to make sure you follow at Henny Tweets on Twitter and check out his podcast as well. Off the Puck Hockey can be seen every Saturday night at 9 p.m. on Rogers TV Channel 20. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at Off the Puck Hockey. Mr. Hendrick, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I can't thank you for taking the time to talk to us schmoes.
I'm Mike Tyler, and of you, Adam. Thanks very much. This has been a real pleasure.
Well, thank you. And once again, everybody, I'm your host, Tyler Fines, and with me as always are my boys, Adam Stiles, Mike Walker, my producer behind the scenes, Matt Huddle, making the magic happen. Of course, Marty Zylstra for providing our theme music. This is Off the Puck Hockey. Let's go.
Make sure to check out our past shows from previous weeks on our YouTube, Facebook, or Mixcloud channels. You can always catch up on podcasts while checking out our FHN Network channel on YouTube or Facebook. Or you can listen to an audio copy of our past shows on our Mixcloud channel at FHN_Network. The FHN Network, the future of entertainment.